Hey, welcome back to AI Splainer. We're all about using AI to make really complex stuff simple and clear for you. And today, we're tackling a big one. Can a traffic enforcer actually take your license? It's a question that drives people crazy all over the Philippines, right? Well, a recent viral story pushed this whole thing into the spotlight, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. So let's dive right in with this quote from vlogger James Deakin. This is where extortion is born. Wow. He's talking about the story that got everyone talking, his son getting pulled over. And for Deakin, this wasn't just some simple traffic ticket, no. He saw it as a system that's confusing on purpose. A system where all that confusion, that friction he talks about, actually opens the door for shady stuff. Let's unpack exactly what went down. So check this out. It starts with a pretty standard thing. His son gets flagged for an improper lane change. Okay, fair enough. He tries to do the right thing, go settle the ticket at the LTO. But here's where it gets messy. He's hit with this confusing 15 calendar day deadline. And guess what? It's right smack in the middle of the holidays. Deakin took to social media, laid out the whole bureaucratic nightmare, and bam, it went viral. Why? Because pretty much every driver in the country felt that frustration. It really hit a nerve. Deakin's story wasn't just some random one-off problem. Not at all. What it really did was shine a huge spotlight on this legal gray area, this long-standing conflict in Philippine law that's been causing headaches for drivers for years. Okay, so here's the core of the problem. It's like you've got two different rule books. On one hand, Republic Act 4136, the LTO law, is super clear. Only the LTO and its deputies can confiscate a license, period. But then, on the other hand, you have the local government code, which basically tells cities, hey, you can regulate your own streets. So for decades, you've had this legal tug of war with both the LTO and local enforcers saying, nope, I'm the one with the authority here. So this brings us to a really, really important term you've got to know. Deputized agent. This is the magic key, the exception to the rule. What it means is that an enforcer from, say, the MMDA or a local city can legally take your license if, and this is a big if, they are officially authorized by the LTO to do it. They have to be able to issue you what's called a temporary operator's permit, or a TOP. If they're not deputized, they just don't have that power. So you can see how this played out on the street, right? It was a total mess. You had LTO officers who, could definitely confiscate. Then you had LTO deputized agents who could, but you had to be sure they had their papers in order. And then you had the non-deputized MMDA guys or most city enforcers who, according to a DILG memo, absolutely could not. It was this complicated patchwork of rules that just led to arguments and so much uncertainty for drivers. Okay, but now things are changing. Big time. A recent Supreme Court decision has just come down, and it's set to bring some massive clarity to this whole situation, at least for everyone driving in Metro Manila. The highest court in the land has spoken, and the message is crystal clear. The Supreme Court has declared the MMDA as the one and only policymaking body for traffic management in the region. The goal here? To finally end the confusion and create one set of rules for everybody. So what does this mean for you when you're on the road? Well, a few huge things. First, the MMDA's authority now trumps individual city ordinances. Second, a single ticketing system is now mandatory across all of Metro Manila. No more patchwork of different rules. And the big one, it confirms that the MMDA and its deputized agents absolutely have the power to confiscate licenses. It's a game changer. And this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see how that public outcry, spurred by the Deakin incident, combined with this new legal clarity from the Supreme Court, actually led to immediate real-world changes. The government had to act. Remember that 15 times calendar day thing that was so frustrating? The thing that basically set you up to fail during the holidays? Well, guess what? The Department of Transportation listened. They changed just one little word, but it made all the difference. The new rule is 15 working days. That's a huge deal. It gives drivers a realistic window to actually get things sorted. And they didn't stop there. The DOTR also put out an order that basically backs up the Supreme Court's decision. They ordered a hard stop to license confiscations by any enforcer who isn't deputized by the LTO. So now that single authority idea isn't just a court ruling, it's the official policy on the ground. Okay, so let's bring this all back to you, the driver. What does all this actually mean for you during a traffic stop? Because, let's be honest, that's what really counts, right? Knowing your rights. So let's boil it all down to a simple 3-point checklist to keep in your head. First, verify their authority. The only people who can take your license are LTO, deputized agents who can issue a temporary operator's permit, a TOP. So ask, Second, know your limits. A simple traffic violation is not an invitation for them to search your car or you. And third, remember your rights. You always have the right to contest a ticket if you genuinely believe it was unfair. And that brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? The law is clearer now. The rules have been changed. But will any of this actually change what happens on the ground, on our streets, every day? That's the real test, and we'll have to wait and see. So there you have it. If you found this explainer helpful, and you think it cleared some things up, do us a favor and hit that like and share button. You probably know someone who could really use this info. And hey, while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to AI Splainer. We're always breaking down complicated stuff like this. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next explainer.